When we first started the show, I really thought we were doing a show about building cars and motorcycles for people. It evolved into a show about people and their story. It really brought challenges in the early days.
There is something strange about one of TV's most popular custom car shops. Millions of fans watch Danny Koker and his team turn old, forgotten vehicles into amazing machines on counting cars. The shop looked like a place where talented friends worked side by side every day. But over time, familiar faces started disappearing. Rumors spread across the internet. Fans began asking the same question again and again. What really happened behind the doors of Counts Customs? And did some employees lose Danny's trust forever? The truth is more complicated than many people think. Counting Cars first aired on the History Channel in 2012 as a spin-off of Pawn Stars. The show quickly became a hit. Viewers loved the mix of classic cars, motorcycles, and the fun personalities inside the Las Vegas shop. Danny Koker became known for his passion, his deep knowledge of vintage vehicles, and his calm leadership style. The series ran for more than 250 episodes, making it one of the network's most successful automotive programs. Everything seemed to be running smoothly. The team joked together, solved problems, and built incredible cars that impressed customers from around the country. From the outside, it looked like the perfect workplace. But fame often changes everything. As the show's audience grew into the millions, every new episode brought more attention to the people working beside Danny. Fans became attached to mechanics, painters, managers, and builders. When someone suddenly stopped appearing, people noticed immediately. Social media filled with questions. Online videos offered wild theories. Some stories spread so fast that many viewers accepted them as facts without checking where they came from. That created a new mystery. Which stories were true and which were simply rumors repeated over and over. One event, however, was impossible to ignore. In 2016, longtime employee Joseph Frontiera became the center of serious legal claims. According to court documents reported by outlets including the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Counts Customs accused him of using company money for personal expenses. The lawsuit claimed thousands of dollars were spent on items unrelated to the business. Frontiera denied wrongdoing, and the legal dispute became one of the biggest controversies ever connected to the show. If you had owned a business, would you have been able to trust someone again after hearing claims like these? Let us know what you think in the comments. That lawsuit was only one part of a much bigger story. Other familiar faces also disappeared from the series, leaving viewers wondering what happened. Some exits had simple explanations. Others became surrounded by rumors that still circulate today. As we'll discover, separating fact from fiction is the hardest part of this story, and the next chapter reveals why Danny's biggest challenge wasn't fixing cars. It was knowing who he could trust. When Counting Cars became a television success, Counts Customs was no longer just a local shop in Las Vegas. It had become a famous brand. Fans traveled from across the United States to visit. According to tourism reports and media coverage over the years, Counts Customs became one of the best-known custom car shops in Las Vegas because of the show's popularity. That kind of attention brought exciting opportunities, but it also created new problems. Running a successful business is difficult on its own. Running one while cameras record almost everything is even harder. Every mistake, every disagreement, and every employee became part of the public conversation. People who had once worked quietly behind the scenes suddenly found themselves recognized by strangers. One of the biggest controversies involved Joseph Frontiera. Court records show that in 2016, Counts Customs filed a lawsuit accusing him of using company funds for personal expenses and failing to meet his responsibilities. News organizations, including the Las Vegas Review-Journal, covered the case because it involved one of the shop's employees featured on television. However, this is where many internet stories go too far. Some websites and videos claim Frontiera was arrested or sent to prison because of the case. Publicly available records do not support those claims. The lawsuit was a civil legal matter, not a criminal conviction. That difference is important, even though many videos online ignore it. Separating facts from rumors is the only way to understand what really happened. The controversy reminded Danny and everyone watching that trust is one of the most valuable things in any business. A custom car shop handles expensive vehicles, rare parts, and large payments from customers. Even one dispute can damage a reputation that took years to build. But Joseph was not the only person whose disappearance raised questions. Fans also noticed that Kevin Mack, one of Danny's closest friends and one of the shop's most respected mechanics, began appearing less often. Almost immediately, rumors exploded online. Some claimed he had been fired. Others said he argued with Danny. Still others suggested serious personal conflicts. Yet none of those stories have been confirmed by Danny or Kevin. In interviews and public appearances over the years, Kevin has continued to speak positively about Danny and Count's Customs. Many reports suggest his reduced television appearances were connected to personal priorities and work behind the scenes rather than a dramatic falling out. While fans hope for a shocking secret, the available evidence points to a far less dramatic explanation. If you're enjoying stories that reveal what really happened behind the headlines, make sure to subscribe because the next part uncovers several names that fans still debate today, and some of the most popular rumors turn out to be very different from the facts. Then there is Scott Jones, the shop's former manager. During the early seasons, Scott handled many business operations and often worked closely with Danny. Then, almost without warning, he disappeared from the show. No official statement ever explained every detail of his exit. Danny has never publicly labeled Scott as one of his worst employees, despite what many clickbait videos claim. Over the years, fans have offered countless theories, ranging from financial disagreements to personal decisions. But without reliable evidence, those stories remain speculation. That pattern kept repeating. Someone would leave the show. Rumors would spread across YouTube and social media. Before long, opinions started replacing facts. And that brings us to the biggest mystery of all. Several former employees are still discussed by fans today. Some earned respect. Others became linked to controversy. But did any of them truly become people Danny could never trust again? The answer depends on what can actually be proven, and what happened next surprised even longtime viewers. By now, one thing has become clear. The internet is full of videos claiming Danny Koker exposed his 5 worst employees. But when you look at verified interviews, public records, and reliable reporting, that dramatic moment never actually happened. Danny has not publicly released such a list. Instead, what we do have are real controversies, confirmed departures, and years of fan speculation. That makes it possible to examine the 5 names most often connected to these stories, while separating facts from fiction. The first name is the one almost every fan recognizes, Joseph Frontiera. Among all the former employees linked to controversy, Joseph's situation is the most documented. In 2016, Count's Customs filed a civil lawsuit accusing him of using company funds for personal purchases and failing to meet financial responsibilities. News outlets such as the Las Vegas Review-Journal reported on the case after the court documents became public. What happened after that remains the subject of many online rumors. Some creators claim Danny publicly called Joseph his biggest mistake. Others say Joseph admitted everything in an interview. There is no verified evidence supporting those claims. What is confirmed is that the legal dispute became one of the most talked about moments in the show's history, and Joseph was no longer part of counting cars afterward. The second name is Scott Jones. Scott managed much of the business during the show's early seasons. He often handled customers, organized projects, and worked closely with Danny. Then he quietly disappeared from the series. That silence created a perfect opening for speculation. Some fans believe Scott had argued with Danny over money. Others claimed he wanted a completely different career. A few even suggested serious problems inside the shop, yet no reliable public evidence confirms any of those stories. Scott has largely stayed out of the spotlight, and Danny has never publicly described him as a bad employee. Sometimes, the biggest mystery is simply the lack of information. Then there is Kevin Mack, one of the most respected mechanics ever featured on the show. Unlike many internet rumors suggest, Kevin has continued to speak positively about Danny over the years. Fans notice he appeared less frequently on television, but reduced screen time does not automatically mean someone was fired or pushed out. Many television productions change who appears on camera as the show evolves. Without confirmed statements saying otherwise, it would be unfair to present Kevin's story as a falling out. That leaves 2 more names often discussed by viewers. Some fans point to Roli Szabo, the detail expert known for making finished cars shine like new. Others mention Ryan Evans, the talented airbrush artist whose custom paint jobs became one of the show's biggest attractions. The interesting part is that neither man fits the story many clickbait videos try to tell. Roli eventually focused on other opportunities and built his own path outside the show. Ryan has continued building his reputation as a respected artist in the custom automotive world. While fans notice changes in their appearances on the series, there's no verified evidence that Danny publicly labeled either of them among his worst employees. Most of us will never own a famous custom car shop or star in a television series, but almost everyone knows what it feels like when trust is questioned, when rumors spread, or when people assume they know your story without knowing facts. That is why these stories continue to connect with so many viewers. But the biggest surprise is still waiting. Behind every departure was an even larger challenge that threatened the future of counting cars itself. And Danny had to find a way to protect both his business and the reputation he had spent decades building. As more people searched online for answers about former employees, another problem was quietly growing. The reputation of Count's Customs was no longer shaped only by the television show. It was also being shaped by thousands of YouTube videos, blog posts, and social media comments, many of them repeating stories that had never been verified. That is one of the hidden costs of fame. When Counting Cars first became a hit, viewers mainly focused on the amazing vehicles. They watched rusty classics become beautiful machines. They laughed at the team's jokes and admired the skill it took to restore cars that looked beyond saving. Years later, the conversation had changed. Instead of asking, what car will they build next, many fans were asking who left the shop or what happened behind the scenes. For Danny Koker, that shift could not have been easy. As the owner of Count's Customs, he was responsible for more than creating great custom cars. He also had to protect his employees, his customers, and the reputation of a business that had taken years to build. Every rumor had the power to affect public trust, even when there was little or no evidence behind it. That became especially important because Count's Customs serves real customers, not just television audiences. People bring valuable classic cars to the shop, often spending tens of thousands of dollars on custom work. In that kind of business, trust is everything. One negative headline or one viral rumor can make potential customers think twice. Danny rarely responded to every rumor online. Instead, he generally let the quality of the shop's work speak for itself. In interviews over the years, he has consistently focused on his passion for classic cars, motorcycles, and restoring unique vehicles rather than fueling public drama. While that approach may have disappointed fans looking for explosive revelations, it also helped keep attention on the business instead of the gossip. There was another challenge, though. Reality television often gives viewers the feeling that they know every member of the cast personally. In truth, each episode shows only a small part of what happens. Hours of filming are edited into a single episode. Conversations are shortened. Some employees appear more often than others because they fit the story producers want to tell. That means a person's disappearance on the screen does not always mean they were fired, treated unfairly, or involved in a conflict. Sometimes production decisions, personal goals, scheduling, or career changes explain what viewers never see. Still, the mystery remained. Why did so many people believe Danny had publicly identified his 5 worst employees when there is no verified record of him doing so? The answer says a lot about how information spreads today. A dramatic title attracts more clicks than a careful explanation. Once one creator posts an unverified claim, others often repeat it without checking the original sources. Before long, a rumor can seem like an established fact simply because it has been shared thousands of times. That is why looking at trusted reporting, court records, and public interviews matters so much. They do not always provide exciting answers, but they help separate truth from fiction. As this story comes to an end, one final question remains. After years of rumors, lawsuits, changing cast members, and endless speculation, how does Danny Koker want to be remembered? The answer reveals why his legacy is about far more than the controversies that surrounded the show. After years of success, countless custom builds, and millions of television viewers, Danny Koker's legacy is still closely tied to counting cars. But if there is one lesson that stands above all the rumors, it is this. The real story is very different from the one many clickbait headlines tell. The title of this video asks whether Danny finally named the 5 worst employees on counting cars. Based on publicly available interviews, court records, and reliable news reports, there is no verified evidence that he has ever publicly released such a list or used those exact words. That may surprise many fans. The truth is that only one employer-related controversy became a matter of public record in a major way: the civil lawsuit involving Joseph Frontiera. Everything else is a mix of confirmed departures, changing careers, reduced television appearances, and years of online speculation. Scott Jones quietly left the show, but no official explanation has confirmed the many rumors that followed. Kevin Mack remained respected by fans, and there is no verified proof of a public falling out with Danny. Roli Szabo chose a different path and continued building his own career. Ryan Evans remained one of the most admired custom painters associated with the series, earning praise for his artistic talent. Each departure led viewers to create their own theories, but theories are not the same as facts. That is one reason Counting Cars continues to fascinate people. The show was never only about engines, chrome, or rare classic cars. It was also about the relationships between the people bringing those machines back to life. When one familiar face disappeared, fans naturally wanted answers. Danny, however, has usually chosen not to turn private matters into public entertainment. Instead of responding to every rumor, he has continued focusing on his business, his love of classic automobiles, and the work that first made him famous. Looking back, it becomes clear that trust was one of the biggest themes running through the entire story. A successful custom shop depends on talented people working together, protecting customers' vehicles and maintaining a strong reputation. Whether building a vintage Cadillac, restoring a rare muscle car, or creating a one-of-a-kind motorcycle, every project depends on teamwork. When trust is damaged or even questioned, the effects can last much longer than a single television season. For viewers, there is another lesson worth remembering. The internet rewards dramatic headlines, but the truth is often quieter. Before believing a shocking claim, it is always worth asking one simple question: where did this information come from? Reliable journalism, public records, and direct interviews usually tell a much more accurate story than viral rumors. In the end, Danny Koker's greatest achievement may not be avoiding controversy. It may be building a business and a television series that people are still talking about more than a decade after it first aired. Few reality shows enjoy that kind of lasting impact, and perhaps that explains why fans continue searching for answers. They were not just watching cars being restored. They were watching a team they felt connected to. When that team changed, curiosity naturally followed. But this story also raises another question. How did Richard Rawlings from Fast and Loud handle the pressure of fame, business, and public controversy? His journey took some very unexpected turns, and that story is even more surprising. Ready to publish. Engagement CTA used. If you had owned a business, would you have been able to trust someone again after hearing claims like these? Let us know what you think in the comments. Conversion CTA used. If you're enjoying stories that reveal what really happened behind the headlines, make sure to subscribe, because the next part uncovers several names that fans still debate today, and some of the most popular rumors turn out to be very different from the facts. Community CTA used. Most of us will never own a famous custom car shop or star in a television series, but almost everyone knows what it feels like when trust is questioned, when rumors spread, or when people assume they know your story without knowing the facts. Retention CTA used. But this story also raises another question. How did Richard Rawlings from Fast and Loud handle the pressure of fame, business, and public controversy? His journey took some very unexpected turns, and that story is even more surprising.